Courage is one of those things I believe we must have in order to be successful in life. All right, Bear, today we are going to talk about courage because I am not scared of you, even though you look bigger than me. So I'll give you the first word. Go ahead.
Courage. Courage is not simply one of the virtues, but the form of every virtue at the testing point, which means at the point of highest reality. C.S. Lewis. Everything stems from courage.
Wow. The lion had courage in The Wizard of Oz.
Eventually he did. Eventually.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to see what you'd say. I think courage is one of those things that we must grab a hold of and define it properly. Courage is running into the fire to save the baby that's in there. Courage is standing firm in your marriage when things aren't going too well. Courage is going to war because you believe in the fight. Courage is really very simple. Sometimes it's just standing in a group of people with a different attitude and standing for your belief system.
Right. Absolutely.
You know,
Sometimes you're the only.
yeah. So courage is one of those things I believe we must have in order to be successful in life.
Personal courage, psychological courage, spiritual courage, all these things, standing up for what you believe in. That's not something that's very commonplace today. Everybody wants to espouse what they believe, what they like, what they don't like on social media. They want to be a keyboard warrior, right? But they're too scared to say that in person, right? And I mean, you look at courage throughout history, historical acts of courage. You know, as I was doing research for this topic, you know, one of the things that was brought up, one of the things I was researching was Rosa Parks,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine the amount of courage it took, right? And that time and that day to stand up for something that's right, stand up for what you believe in the face of possible physical danger.
Right.
That's hard. It's very, very hard.
I agree. Courage can be used in every aspect of our life. And when it is, it keeps us stronger and it gives us more mobility in our life. We're able to go places and be who we are.
Do you ever see something wrong and you wish you would have said something? You walked away from it. You didn't say anything. You didn't act. You didn't do anything. And you walked away. You're like, man, I wish I would have said that. I wish I would have stood up. I wish I would have done something to call somebody out, right?
Right.
That display of courage, that act of courage, right? Bad behavior is it's not courageous, right? Bad behavior is just bad behavior, right? And some people need to be called out on it. Do you have the courage to call out bad behavior?
Sure. And just because you scream an anti-point to some situation in the world, that doesn't mean you're being courageous. It could mean you're just being a jerk.
So you also have to have the courage to be open-minded, right? I mean,
correct.
if somebody spouts a different point of view, we don't always agree,
No.
right?
No.
I mean, but we're both open-minded,
Right.
and that's one of the reasons this thing works, right?
Right.
That's why we're friends. That's why we converse.
Right.
You know, I mean, we're able to hold each other accountable. We have the courage to tell each other, hey, bro, come on, step up your game.
Yeah. Well, I think that's another reason we need to have people in our lives that we can really be ourselves with, because it is very difficult to stand up in the midst of society that may not, or a group that may not agree with your positions on something, be it a spiritual issue, a faith issue, a social issue, an educational issue, some academic conversation. There's lots of places where being strong in what you believe does require courage. But at the same time, I'm going to tell you, I think it requires courage to befriend people who don't look like us.
Absolutely.
or that don't look like you or me.
Absolutely.
They come from a different socioeconomic background.
Right.
They have different academic accomplishments or no accomplishments. I really believe it takes courage to befriend people who are different than I am.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Are you courageous enough to make changes in your own life? Like, what are you battling? Personal struggles, personal courage, right? If you see something that's detrimental to you, you're doing something that's detrimental to you. Do you have the courage to make those changes in your own life?
Do you even have the courage to believe that you're not as good as you think you are?
Ooh,
I know that one hurt, didn't it?
man, that stings a little bit,
mean,
Joe.
We all want to think we're great.
Right?
We all want to think. I used to laugh in church life. I'll have to throw that out every time we meet, you know.
Yes, sir.
I am the preacher in this mix. We have church choirs because everybody can sing.
Right.
All right, everybody's a soloist. So the bigger the choir, the better off we are because about 5% of them can really sing. All right? But singing or soloing or whatever, if you're doing things that you're not good at, but because someone told you you were, you all of a sudden have a confidence that you need to put back up, baby. You just put it back because it ain't you.
You ever watch those American Idol auditions?
Oh,
Right. My mom told me
I love the American, and somebody lied to some of those kids. I'm gonna just tell you.
Oh man. Yeah.
But it's important. But they had the courage to try, though. But why did they have the courage? They had the courage because someone got behind them and encouraged them.
Right.
So I think that's a life point. Okay, we can get courage not from just ourselves, but we can get courage from other people around us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, and my question would be to you: who are you encouraging today? Who are you encouraging? Are you being an encourager? Are you being a discourager? If you're being a discourager, I don't want to be around you.
Right.
I want you to grow people, not hurt people.
Right. Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
It takes courage to be an encourager because that means you're willing to help someone identify trip hazards, obstacles. We all have them. There is no perfect person.
Right.
And so do you have the courage to listen to critiquing?
You got to step outside of your own comfort zone sometimes and grow. It's not fun. It's not fun at all. And sometimes it hurts.
Right.
I started taking cold showers, right? Doing something hard every day.
I'm
Do something hard every day.
I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry.
And I'll take enough for both of us.
You take
That's
twice.
fine.
You just do that. Yeah. That's why your hair fell out.
But probably. And that's also why I've never been on American Idol, is because I can't sing. But yeah. But you know, God bless those people who can.
Absolutely.
And you know, they've got some stiff backbones.
Yeah. Well, I'm grateful that we do have people that are worried about the lives of other people. You know, we talk about warriors, we talk about first responders. A lot of times they get a bad rap.
Yes.
And I'm grateful that there are crazy people out there that will literally don an outfit and run into a flaming fire to help somebody. That's a different type of courage.
Absolutely.
But that is a type of courage.
Absolutely.
Because not everyone would do that. Not everyone would do that.
I read this story the other day that this group was going through Africa, and there were some Christians and some Muslims on this bus.
Yeah.
And one of the militias over there had stopped the bus, got on the bus, and they said, "Hey, everybody that's a Christian, stand up." And the women, every woman on that bus said, "No, we're not doing that." Right. Now, this is a mixed group of people. And they did this under the fear of death, but they were still courageous enough to say, "No, we're not doing it." Right. If you kill one of us, all for one, one for all.
Right.
Right. but they were courageous, man. And it wasn't a physical, like
Mm-hmm.
they didn't run into a burning building, but they put themselves directly into the face of danger for others.
Yeah. I'm gonna take a side road real quick with you.
What you got?
I believe that we need men of courage back in their families.
What does that mean?
I think we have an epidemic in families today where men are giving up on their families. They're giving up on their kids. They're giving up. They're just giving up.
I said this in jest to my wife a couple of years ago, and times were tough. My kids are growing. All my kids are grown, and I was like, man, I'm thinking I'm quitting being a parent. I was like, I'm done. Things were tough. My kids weren't wanting to listen to me. Like every kid doesn't want to listen to their
Exactly.
parents. But you have to have the courage to push through. Just because things get tough doesn't mean you give up. Do you have the courage? Do you have the intestinal fortitude to push through?
Do you have the courage to be a parent? Let me ask you that. Do you have the courage to be a parent today? I see so many young people parenting children. And this is probably going to offend somebody, but I'm sorry. I see a lot of young folks, they just want to be their kid's best friend.
Right.
They just want to give their kids everything. They just want to let their kids run crazy. We're doing them a great disservice because the world doesn't work that way.
Right.
And I would like to challenge moms and dads, specifically dads, to have the courage to be leaders in their family, to have the courage to teach right from wrong, to have the courage to stand and fight for your family, because you're setting an example, and we see it in our culture now. There's no courage. Family? What are you talking about? Well, I believe that America falls when family falls.
Absolutely.
We are a tribe of family, and the family is in trouble in this country. That'll be another show, so I'm not going to track it. But I challenge men to stand up and have the courage to be the father, the husband that they're supposed to be, because it's not easy. It's hard. It's easy to just give up.
It is.
And so it's time we took a turn in our society.
Take the hard ride over the easy wrong.
Let's try. Let's get back to being strong and being willing to be told, man, you're weird. Yeah, it's cool. I'm a little off. Tell me something good, though.
People talk about that all the time, and they see all these people, these heroes, right? There's an old saying, never meet your heroes. So you never know what's behind the curtain, right? But, man, do you have the courage to stand up for what's right? And if you need to, again, do you need to make some changes in your life? Do you need to be a better parent? Do you need to be a better husband? Do you need to be a better father?
Right.
Do you have the courage to push through? Because as we said, it's not easy. We talk about it. We want all the things that comes with being a courageous person, with being a courageous man.
Right.
And hey, one day or day one, when are you going to start walking the walk instead of just talking the talk?
Hey, that's courageous.
That's courageous.
Standing in the midst of things that you believe are different or should be different.
Right, absolutely.
For the betterment of society.
Do you have the conviction? Do you have the fortitude?
I like that word, conviction. We give up too easy. We don't really have a passion and a drive anymore. We're losing that as a people. We're becoming so comfortable with comfort that we no longer want to be struggling. But my friend, in the midst of struggle, man, that's where we really find out who we are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And until we're willing to understand who we are, how are we going to change and be better? We have to figure out who we are, be okay with our faults, because we all have them, but better those faults by admitting you have them and grow from them. And if you don't like who you are, change who you are.
I'm going to pose this question. What do you want to live for? And furthermore, what would you die for?
Good question. I like that. What are you willing to die for? That's how you know what's important to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it takes real courage to believe and to do those things you believe.
Absolutely.
You got a quote for us to close out with today? You always have a quote. If you don't, that's cool, but I bet you have one.
Courage. I'm not going to end you with a quote, but I'll end you with an example of courage. A gentleman named Dakota Meyer. He was 23 years old when he got the Medal of Honor. This guy was in arguably one of the most horrific battles in Afghanistan. He saved over 30 people. He defied orders, went in multiple times. So he left the battlefield, came back, left the battlefield, came back, left 6 times, right? He had the courage to do what's right, to run into the face of danger and save people, right?
Wow.
With just disregard for personal safety, right? At one point, he ran out of ammo and he got into a hand-to-hand fight with the guy.
Wow.
Man. So, and he was 23, right?
Yeah.
If you haven't done something in your life that tests you, what are you doing? What are you living for?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you, we need strong people. We need strong men. We need courageous men.
Absolutely.
Stand for what we believe. Know what you believe so you can stand for it.
Yes, sir.
And if you're standing for the wrong things, figure that out and stand for the right things. Bear, thanks for being here today.
Appreciate you.
It's been fun, man.
Always.
See you next time. All right.